In the last videos I did, I started by telling you about ways to stop wasting your time. We talked about the 4 quadrants of time, talked about how so much time is spent on the bottom, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, checking email, answering, hey, got a minute questions, etc. And you really need to focus your energy on quadrant 2. We also talked about really setting goals and figuring out what are those key quadrant 2 activities, what goals you need to have in order to be successful, and then how you need to break down those goals into less than 2-hour chunks, put those on your to-do list, and more importantly, take that to-do list and transfer it to your daily calendar. So those items that are currently not urgent but super important, they become urgent because now they're on your calendar and it sort of forces you to do them. That's how you're going to be really successful. But one thing I really didn't go through is the fact that there's so many things as an entrepreneur or business owner. There are so many priorities and there's so many things that have to get done to run a successful business. I want to talk now about how you should prioritize and how to get really the most value out of your time, out of your day, and really multiply you and really scale your efforts. So the first thing I want you to think about is prioritization. You have so many ideas and so many things. You need to prioritize your key tasks. And the best way to prioritize them is to look at expected future value. So look at each of these core activities that you want to plan out with your goals. And once again, you're going to have multiple goals. Each one of these goals and each hour of your time, you need to think about, is this objective worth X dollars? So take these 3 different initiatives that you have plans, or you have 3 different ideas, and you need to start by thinking through each of those. What happens if I achieve each of these 3 things? Well, this thing is going to result in $100,000 worth of profit. And this one's going to result in $70,000 worth of profit. And this one's going to result in possibly $50,000 worth of profit. And then you need to divide that by the amount of time that it's going to take you to execute on it to figure out which is the best use of your time, which one you should prioritize. That's the first thing you really need to do, is prioritize all the objectives that you have for yourself and for your organization. The next thing you need to do is you need to get crystal clear with the value of your time. So if you want to make, for example, $200,000 in the next year, and you're going to work approximately 2,000 hours, that means that you need to generate $100 of income or value for every hour you work. Now, clearly, some things that you do are worth more than $100 an hour. Some of the planning, some of the product development, some of the mentoring you do for your employees is worth way more than $100 an hour. But there's also tasks that are probably worth a lot less than $100 an hour. Things like sending out faxes or ordering supplies, etc. There's a whole bunch of things that you do that are worth less than $100. And you need to figure out what are those activities that are worth less than the value of your time, and you need to delegate them. You need to get other people to do them, and that's how you multiply your efforts. So you spend a lot more time working on those very high value added tasks and priorities, and spend a lot less time working on the things that other people can do at a much lower cost. Okay? So the keys to delegating are so important because everyone knows about delegation. No, it's not like I came up with this novel idea, but most people do not delegate correctly, and as a result, they stop delegating, and that's where the phrase, if you want to get it done right, do it yourself, came from people that did not know how to delegate, because delegating correctly takes work. It's actually a little bit hard, but once you understand how to do it, it becomes easier and easier and easier. So let me talk to you about the steps for delegation, and it's not rocket science, but you just have to go through the steps. Number 1 step is to figure out who the best person is to do the job. So whether you're outsourcing ordering from Staples.com or you're outsourcing graphic design or anything else, who is the best person to get it done? Is there someone in your current organization, or is there a website that you can go to, an Elance or a Guru or Rent-A-Code or someplace to find less expensive labor and find the best person to do the job? So the first thing is to find the best person to do the task. Simple enough. Secondly, you need to spend a little time to map out what the project is. And it's not just you spending 3 seconds saying, do this. You need to think through it a little more. The first time you delegate something, it takes a lot more time to delegate that task than to do it yourself. But particularly for tasks that you need done because you don't have that much time, or you want something done over and over and over again, spend the time to map it out. We just call that a brief. Whenever a great graphic designer works off a brief. We want, the brief tells them some basic information. We want a logo. We want it to use these colors. We want to imitate this or that. We want to have this feeling. Create a brief that talks about what it is that you want to accomplish. And then you need to, third step is go through that brief with the person that you're delegating to, and this is important. Have them verbally say it back to you, because people nod and they don't get. And we think when we explain something to somebody, we're being so crystal clear, how could they not get it? Most times people are distracted, they don't get it. So I want you to go through the brief with the person and have them speak it back to you and say, this is what I'm going to accomplish. That's that step there. The following step is you need to, particularly if it's a longer term project, you need to check in. If it's a graphic design project, because I'm using that example, and it's going to take them 2 weeks, don't just let it go into a black hole, because it's not going to get done right. You need to check in every other day. Send them an email, send them I'd rather do a phone call, get right in their face, or call them into your office and say, where do we stand on this project? You need to do that. You need to give them feedback along the way, and you need to check in with them to make sure it gets done right. And then at the end, particularly on projects that you're going to delegate, or particularly on projects that you're going to delegate to that person again, or if you plan on delegating more work to that person, give them feedback. What did they do wrong, and what did they do right? And what you're doing here is you're creating contractors, you're creating people that can do work for you that you no longer have to do, and it's going to be a fraction of the cost. So you're training other people to do your work, and that's how you can multiply your efforts, and that's how every entrepreneur has done it. I gave examples before of Richard Branson, Donald Trump. They don't do every little thing. They delegate to a lot of people that they have trained to do things the right way. So you need to start by understanding the value of your time. You need to prioritize your key initiatives, understand the value of your time, and delegate things that are less than your desired hourly income. And I understand a lot of people are maybe sitting here thinking, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me, but I don't have the funds to even delegate those $10 an hour tasks. What you need to do there is then prioritize your time on the high value add things, and high value add in your case may be to raise a little capital so that you can afford to pay the X dollars an hour. But the key point here is that if you want to be earning $100, $200, $500, $1,000 an hour that you're probably worth when you're doing your high value add activities, you can't be doing the $10, $20, $30, $50 an hour work. You can't do it. So you need to figure out what those activities are, delegate those. Once again, it all comes back to the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. What are those 20% of activities that you're currently doing now that results in 80% of the value? Take that 20%, make it 40%, make it 60%, make it 80%, make it 100%. Your productivity skyrockets. You become very, 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 very successful. And the people around you are happy about it because they're doing work that is giving them value, making them productive, and allowing you to really soar, really skyrocket, create a very profitable company, and be ultra successful. So I hope that helped and really allowing you to prioritize your time, figure out what to delegate, and get the most use out of your time.